This evening, the city is holding its second budget meeting related to a second budget public hearing for purposes of fixing the final millage rate, adopting a final budget, and approving various agency budgets. Any person who is a lobbyist pursuant to Chapter 2, Article 6 of the City Code must register with the city clerk and comply with related city requirements for lobbyists before appearing before the city commission. A person may not lobby a city official, board member, or staff member until registering. A copy of the code section about lobbyists is available in the city clerk's office or online at www.municode.com. Any person making a presentation, formal request, or petition, any person making a presentation, formal request must comply with the code section regarding real estate disclosures. A copy of this city section is available in the office of the city clerk or online at www.municode.com. The city of Miami requires that anyone requesting action by the city commission must also disclose any consideration pursuant to section 2-8. The public comment will begin at approximately 6:30 and remain open until public comment is closed by the chair. Members of the public wishing to address the body may do so by submitting written comments at www.miamigov.com, meeting instructions. The comments submitted will be distributed to elected officials throughout the day. Public comment may also be provided live at City Hall. Give me 1 second because I believe I'm reading the wrong statement.
I have a copy, Madam City Attorney, if you need it.
May I borrow yours? Then?
You were on page. Is it the same on yours?
Any person with a disability requiring when addressing the city commission, a member of the public must state his or her name, his or her address, and what item will be spoken about. Any person with a disability requiring assistance, auxiliary aids, and services for this meeting may notify the city clerk. The city has provided different public comment methods to indicate, among other things, the public support, opposition, or neutrality on items and topics to be discussed at the city commission meeting. In compliance with section 286.0114(4)(c), the public has been given the opportunity to provide public comment during the meeting in reasonable proximity to the meeting. Please note, commissioners have been briefed generally by city staff and the city attorney. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for coming. We're going to open up the public comment period for this budget. We have 7 items to approve today, including the millage of the city, the DDA, final budget, the DDA millage, the Downtown Development Authority budget, the Little Haiti Revitalization Trust budget, adopt the millage of the city for fiscal year 22, and finally approve the actual fiscal year 22 budget. Is there anyone here who'd like to speak at public comment on any of the items?
Sorry, before public comment, we got to read some millage language first.
Millage language first. Sorry. Can you pull the microphone just a little bit closer?
Is that better?
Yes, thank you.
The proposed general operating millage rate is 7.6665 mils for the city of Miami for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2021, and ending September 30th, 2022. That operating millage rate is 4.41% higher than the state-defined rollback rate of 7.3428 mills.
You good? Yes. Thank you. I heard pizza delivery over there.
One more.
Good evening.
Good
Ms.
evening.
Crespi.
Christina Crespi, Executive Director of the Miami Downtown Development Authority. The proposed millage rate for the Miami DDA for fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2021, and ending on September 30th, 2022, is 0.4681 mils, which is 2.43% more than the state-defined rollback rate of 0.4570 mils. Thank you.
All right, that's BH1 and BH2. Are there any other statements that need to be made by the administration? We're good. All right, now we'll open for public comment. Mr. Madriz.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Russell. Adrian Madriz, 1990 Northwest 4th Court, Apartment 11, 33136. I'm very happy to come to before you today in gratitude for the way that the last budget hearing went, and to thank you for the inclusion of the third program manager for the Office of Resilience and $388,000 in funding, as well as $5 million in legal and relocation assistance for Miamians facing mass evictions and displacement. I'm sure I don't have to emphasize how grave the need for affordable housing, especially for those facing evictions now, is. I also wanted to see if there was any way that we could include immediate electrification, including the associated infrastructure of the city's vehicle fleet, filling the funding gap for bicycle infrastructure, $854,000 in unfunded costs for resilience hubs, as well as $250K to support similar community-based resilience, making sure to cap at 60% AMI any of the new affordable housing funds that have been dedicated for new construction, and urging the city, of course, to continue leveraging federal funding for the Emergency Rental Assistance Program and $4 million for the American Rescue Plan allocation, targeting low-income homeowners, renters, owners of low-income rental units. So wanted to definitely see if any of that was possible to be included. And the last thing I'll say is, Commissioner Russell, I wanted to see if you had considered any kind of an emergency moratorium on evictions, or if the city...
You're asking me as if it's within my jurisdiction to do so.
No, I'm sorry. Not as in like you can order it by fiat, but as in is there a way that the commission can maybe urge the mayor to do that?
At this point, I don't believe the will of this commission is to urge the mayor to do so. We're having talks with the mayor, but I think to do it in more of a congenial manner rather than us pushing on him, it's about having discussions with him on the situation and crisis, and then what that means legally and functionally when we declare that state of emergency. And I'm very interested in that, so I really appreciate your continued pressure on that issue. Because I believe we have a housing crisis. You know that we have a housing crisis.
And I know you understand that as well, and I really appreciate your concern, Commissioner. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And then if the management could be prepared to address later the electrification of our vehicle fleet, we do have a plan for that already. It's got a timeline rollout of which we'd be glad to explain. You don't have to have the information right now, but we can get into it in a bit. And we do have a change memo that does include bicycle infrastructure budget. Actually, no, I'm using my American Rescue Plan funds to help finalize the bicycle master plan, as well as scooter funds. So we're going to get there, but those are very good. As for capping at 60%, I do believe we still have an appetite to also take care of workforce housing, but you've got an absolute champion over here on this side of the dais for real, true affordable housing at its actual AMI need, which is exactly what you're talking about. So thank you for that.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much to all of you.
Good evening, City of Miami Commission. My name is Katrina Irwin. I wanted to thank you all for including a third program manager for the Office of Resilience and $388K in funding, as well as $5 million in legal and relocation assistance for Miamians facing mass evictions and displacements. When I spoke to you all at the first budgetary hearing, I told you all how disappointed I was in how the City of Miami was treating the climate crisis by not properly investing enough in resilience. But last week, you all listened to the dozens of concerned Miamians asking you all to further invest in resilience and sustainability. This is what democracy looks like. Thank you for listening. Earlier today, when you all were discussing scooters, there was a statement that said scooters are an accident waiting to happen. Well, the climate crisis is also an accident waiting to happen. I wish some of you were as concerned about the climate crisis as you are about scooters. The climate crisis is here, and it is becoming a threat to our safety and the economy. So much so that climate should always be a part of the commission agenda. In fact, I invite you all to join Miami youth and youth around the world tomorrow as we urge elected officials such as yourself to act on climate. We will be outside this very building, Miami City Hall, tomorrow from 1 to 3 p.m. Come and show your support and speak to your constituents. We would love to have you there. We can afford to invest in resiliency if we do it now. The longer we wait, the more expensive it will be. We are risking not being able to afford it in the future. I urge you all to continue to make the right decision and prioritize climate action. The environment is the economy. Thank you for investing in it. Most importantly, thank you again for going above and beyond with the demands that we presented last week.
Thank you for your comments. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Bill Collins. I am here to follow up on a letter I sent last week to my commissioner, to the mayor, and to the manager to request that you include funds in your budget to create sidewalks in my neighborhood. I know it's not maybe as popular with the commission as climate change, but my neighborhood doesn't have any sidewalks.
Where's your neighborhood, sir?
Pardon?
Where's your
I
neighborhood?
live in the Pines.
Golden Pines.
Pardon?
Golden Pines?
No, over by near Coral Way on 34th, Southwest 34th Ave. And I know part of your district is in Southwest 34th Ave. And I can tell you that there's a parade every day and night up and down Southwest 34th Ave, and people don't have sidewalks to walk on. And so they're dodging cars, and it's a dangerous situation. We've had a city now for 125 years, and there are still established neighborhoods like mine that don't have sidewalks. And so I'm here to put the pressure on the commission to continue to try to provide those sidewalks. So the section in particular I'm concerned about is Southwest 34th Ave between Southwest 23rd Street and Southwest 24th Street. And
Yeah, that's mine.
I am, there's a lot of disabled residents in my neighborhood, and they're using wheelchairs and mobility devices to get down the street, and they're also having to dodge cars. An accessible route, is a requirement of the ADA, and people who use that bus stop, which is heavily used on Pearl Way, do not have a way to get there through an accessible route. Also, as you know, my neighborhood is almost exclusively working-class families. They're living in, many of them, in duplexes, and we've seen other more affluent areas of the city get roundabouts and other traffic mitigation measures in the interest of safety, whereas our most basic need, sidewalk, is not there in my neighborhood. So, I would hope that, there are other areas. In fact, I can tell you right now, I live next to Southwest 23rd Terrace, and that's also not an accessible route, sidewalk to Douglas Road. So there's other areas that need sidewalks. I know both in the Pines and throughout the city, but I'm particularly concerned about this area because it has especially heavy traffic, both pedestrian and vehicles, and again, it's very dangerous.
Thank you.
So I know you have a lot of...
What was your name, sir?
Bill Collins?
Bill?
Mr.
Since
Collins,
you came all this way.
Hold on a second.
Sure.
Mr. Collins,
Yes, Commissioner.
I am your commissioner.
Yes.
Okay, and I read your emails, and before you read your emails,
Right.
we were trying to do as much as we can in that area, which was totally abandoned, and I can tell you that. But there is a big problem in 34th Avenue. We don't have the right of way from the neighbors in order to build the sidewalks. We have to go and try to build the sidewalks. The street, we are analyzing it. That street and other streets that they lack sidewalks, but in that street in particular, it is a little bit too narrow. And but we're gonna try to find a way to build sidewalks. But we need the authorization and the right of way from the neighbors to. I mean, they will have to give up part of their property to the city in order to the city to do that.
Right.
Because unless they give up the property, it's a process. It's not that like just going in there and you're saying, we're gonna do all the sidewalks because they have right. That's property rights. You see,
Right.
It is a process, but I can rest assured that we're looking into it. and it takes a process, but we're starting the process.
Right.
In your street and other streets that we don't have sidewalks.
Absolutely. And I'm here, and I know you're committed to the issue, so I'm not here to criticize you. I'm here to
No,
support,
no, no, no,
I'm here
no.
to support you, and I want people to know that this is an important issue, and even
no,
though
no.
it's not a sexy issue.
I do
but it is-
understand, and in particularly when you have, residents that they are on wheelchair.
Right.
Or residents that they move around with one of those walkers. You see, I do understand
you know that.
I do understand that, but, it takes a process and all the funds that are available in order to do that. As a matter of fact, let me tell you, since I was elected, we have repaired or built more than 9 miles of sidewalks.
Right.
Because that was my first a major project, because most of the sidewalks, they were either non-existent or they were all in real bad shape, you see. But I am aware of it,
Right.
and it's not that we are ignoring that area.
I know.
We have projects for Golden Pine. As a matter of fact, we have two major projects that also entails drainage projects in a couple of streets, and we are we're looking for more funds to, improve the quality of life of that neighborhood, which, by the way, I repeat, was totally abandoned.
10 miles of sidewalk sounds a lot better than 9 miles, don't you think? You could be the 10th mile.
No, that's what let me tell you, we've been talking about that, and there is a little problem there. We might, I'm not going to tell you what we might do, have to do, but you will find out, because Public Works and ourselves, we've been analyzing how can we build sidewalks in that particular street, because it's very difficult. It is quite narrow.
Right.
They are houses that they are almost next to the street, and you know that.
Yeah.
You see, houses that the front of the house is very close to the street. There is no place to put a sidewalk.
But I will tell you, there are different types of sidewalks, and there's sidewalks that are often built in certain areas, but there's other ones that are built in other areas that have curbs and those sort of things, and those take up less space.
But whatever size the sidewalk is, which I think they have by code, there's a minimum.
Right.
We need land.
Yeah.
We need to have they have to give the property rights and provide the land to us so we can build it. Okay?
Very good. And again, I just
And
wanted,
that's a legal process that isn't.
I know.
That one has to go through it and all the time. But I'm glad you're here. You're always welcome. And I'm glad.
I just think that
you're
it's fundamental that
you are
someone
doing your due diligence. I congratulate you for it. That is citizen participation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your comments.
Okay, thank you.
Next comment, please.
Hi, Commissioners. Thank you so much for your time and attention this evening. My name is Alalam. I work with Catalyst Miami, and I'm here to simply thank you for the results of the first budget hearing meeting where you added a third program manager to the Office of Resilience, the additional funding, and the $5 million in legal and relocation assistance for Miamians facing a mass eviction. Thank you. I hope to see that make it in the final cut of the budget today. I did want to emphasize around the 60% AMI. I know someone mentioned it earlier, and that we'll have champions here on the commission for this. It was great to see additional funding in the American Rescue Plan Act allocations for affordable housing. And I wanted to point out the University of Florida Schimberg Center had an analysis that those at 60% AMI and below in the city are 3 times as cost burdened as all the other AMI categories combined. And so obviously, I think all public funding for affordable housing needs to go to the Miamians facing the greatest cost burden, where the greatest need is first. And I am wondering do you know how much housing, or who I can talk to request the answer to this question, how much housing is built for the different area median income categories in the city of Miami using public, city funds? I'm curious about that.
Mr. Mensa's department can get that analysis for you.
Okay, so I'll reach out to them.
My goal is to see at least 50% of all affordable housing be at 50% of the AMI or below.
Could you
that's a
repeat
goal.
that?
I would love to see 50% of new housing.
Wow.
Or preserved housing to be at 50% or below.
We have come a long way from 140, right?
I learned it from you, Dad. I learned it from you.
You are a good student, son.
I think that's really excellent, Reyes. Thank you for leading the way, and I hope we get some legislation to really hold ourselves accountable to this, because it's really, the numbers are there. They did the study. It shows where the greatest need is. And you still serve to gentrify neighborhoods when you put 140% AMI in a neighborhood. That's really 50% AMI of the region. So
Try to lower it.
yes.
Lower it, and the only compromise that I could obtain was 100. But every time that any developer comes before us, and I can attest to it, and I have my fellow commissioner and Commissioner Russell, that immediately that we go after them so they lower the AMI and try to bring it down as much as we can in order to be, you see, our intention here, and I'm going to include all my colleagues, is to really provide affordable housing, but real affordable to the people according to the salaries within the city of Miami, according to the AMI of the city of Miami. You see, you know that the AMI that we are using and most of the developers use is the county AMI,
Yeah.
and which is $60,000. 30% of $60,000 is $18,000 that it can be, and the rent will be $1,500. I brought it down to a maximum to, just that be the maximum, 100%, because before they were using 110 and 140 OMI, which raised the salaries up to $84,000.
Yeah.
But we brought it down. And little by little, but by getting them to compromise or to promise that they're going to provide real affordable housing, that I promise you, you're going to see more of those.
Okay, great. Let us know if you need help. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Next speaker, please.
Good afternoon. Thank you for being here and for allowing me to speak. I want to thank you again for including a third program manager for the Office of Resilience and the $388,000 in funding and the $5 million in legal and relocation assistance. My friends and I are here to demand action. We need accountability from our leaders, especially in times like these. We want to see this government commit to a goal of carbon reduction in our city while also helping mediate the effects we are currently dealing with. We demand to see an investment into clean energy. For instance, pass an ordinance mandating solar energy in new construction. If it's in your power, subsidize the renewable energy market, specifically solar energy providers and manufacturers, making solar energy accessible even to low-income members of our community. As you all know, Florida's nickname is the Sunshine State. We have a literal golden opportunity to lead the nation in solar energy. I'm confident we will be the leaders in this sector, but only if we stand up for what is right and stand against the powers that be. The longer we wait to do something about this, the worse the effects will be and the more expensive the solutions will become. We must do all that we can right now. We cannot allow the financial interests of executives in the oil and gas industry to destroy our planet any more than they already have, nor can we act without challenging the status quo. We demand bold, progressive leadership on this issue, and we demand action. All of you here seem to be very wonderful people. Many of you may have families and children. I can almost guarantee that when your children grow up and have children of their own, they will ask you what you did with your position of power to combat climate change. Would you feel comfortable telling them excuses as to why you could not get the job done? Or would you rather be proud to tell them about all the tangible actions that you took to make a difference? See, this fight isn't about just you and me. It's about everyone alive now, as well as our descendants. Generations of Floridians are expecting us and depending on us to act right now. Miami is and will continue to be one of the hardest hit communities because of climate change. Rising sea levels and warmer oceans threaten our coastlines, our freshwater aquifers, our beaches, our tourism, our very way of life. And one day, if we do not take the proper actions, Miami will no longer be the Miami we know and love. I know you hear what we're saying today and hopefully agree. We need more than a nod in agreement. We need action. Thank you, and
Thank you for your
please join us tomorrow from 1 to 3. We'll be right outside.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chair, if I could just get the speaker's name?
Your name, please?
John Mangeletto.
Thank you. And when you hear the beep, that's about the 30-second point to start wrapping it up. We're trying to give 2 minutes to each person to respect everyone's time. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I am Colette McCurdy Jackson. I live at 1500 Northwest North River Drive, Miami, Florida, 33125. Thank you for the inclusion of a third program manager for the Office of Resilience and $388,000 in funding, as well as $5 million in legal and relocation assistance for Miamians facing mass evictions and displacement. As a former resident of Hamilton on the Bay, we need affordable housing now. The City of Miami just approved $40 million in affordable housing investments through the Miami Forever Bond. The University of Florida Schomburg Center analysis shows that City of Miami renters under 60% AMI are almost 3 times as cost burdened as all the other AMI categories combined. We need to see all public funding for affordable housing go towards the Miamians that face the greatest cost burden. In addition, we'd like to ensure that affordable housing is prioritized in the communities within the city that are facing the greatest threat of displacement and gentrification, including Little Haiti, Liberty City, Alapata, Little Havana, and Coconut Grove. As I moved from Hamilton on the Bay, I'm now in Alapata, and I pray that what happened at Hamilton on the Bay to me does not happen again to me or to any other resident of the City of Miami.
Thank you for your comments. And by the way, just for the record, the Resilience Office is getting a third program manager, a deputy director, and a standalone CRO. So it's a big win. It's more than just one program manager. It's going to be a robust department to recommend to all departments how we can be more resilient for the city. Hello.
Hello, my name's Nicole. Thank you all for being here and for listening to us. I just want to reiterate what all of my peers have said. Just thanking you all for listening to us. I know it's been a really long day for you all. And I really just want to keep this really straightforward. I know that you all know we are demanding action on housing. We are demanding action on climate. I just want to touch upon some things that we haven't touched upon. You're adding all of these resiliency officers. That's awesome. Let's add a youth council. I know that you invited me to your forum. I'm going to be there on Wednesday. But let's create a group where we can have conversations with you. I know last time I spoke to you, I got a little passionate. I'm sorry about that, getting a little aggressive. But really, at the end of the day, I just want to work with you all. I look up to you all as my leaders. I respect you all for being here such long hours and for listening to us. We need green energy, and we need it now. On top of affordable housing, on top of adding our climate officers, we need green energy. And I think it'd be really awesome if we could start thinking about adding solar panels to new constructed buildings, making that a mandate. South Miami already did that. They're leading in front of us. City of Miami could be the sustainable leader if we just add the action. We used to be the leader. We declared a climate emergency, but South Miami is really leading in front of us. So I think that by adding mandates like requiring solar energy when we build new buildings, adding solar panels on top of our parking garages, just having this conversation with us. You know, in school, we learn about all of the solutions every day, and I could name 100 solutions to you right now. But really, I'm asking for a conversation where we work together. We're gonna be outside tomorrow from 1 to 3. Come out, talk to us. There's a chef bringing free vegan food. It's really gonna be just an inviting space for you all to come and work with us. Think about maybe starting a group with some youth activists so we can keep the conversation rolling. We are watching you all. Adding the chief resiliency officers is something we're gonna keep in mind. We're gonna watch the actions that you're gonna do, but we need affordable housing, we need green energy, and we just need action in general. I wanna raise kids here, and I want a family, and I love this city.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chair. Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Camilo Mejia. I'm the Networks Director at Catalyst Miami at 3000 Biscayne Boulevard. I also live here in Coconut Grove. Commissioner Russell, you're my commissioner. I'd like to echo the gratitude expressed by those who spoke before me. Thank you for the added investment in the Office of Resiliency. Also, thank you for the money that's going into affordable housing. But I also would like to ask you or ask the city to reach out to community leaders and organizations to help you figure out the best way to ensure these housing programs reach the people who need them the most. Because at the end of the day, if you're not including people in every step of the way, you end up with really great policies that look great on paper, but don't reach those who need them the most. And I can give you some examples of how that has worked in the past. But the point is, not only for housing, but for every program that you have, social services or anything for the benefit of the community, if you don't have people who would potentially benefit from these initiatives and programs help you along the way, then you're going to end up leaving them behind. So it is imperative that you reach out to people and that you meaningfully include them in the process, not just for housing, but also for climate and everything else that you have going on for community residents. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thanks to Catalyst.
Good evening,
Mr. Leitner.
Commission. Stephen Leitner, about to formally be a resident at Hamilton on the Bay. I've been informed that I will be evicted in the immediate future. So certainly if a eviction moratorium was declared, that would benefit me and other residents at Hamilton on the Bay directly. But that's not really why I'm here, because as some of you may have identified in the past, my passion and my energy goes to trying to protect and defend our planet. I have a proposal for Miami's green economy future. America wastes roughly 40% of its food. That amounts to approximately 160 billion pounds. Of this gross amount, 43 billion is wasted by retail stores, 22 to 33 billion pounds from U.S. restaurants, and 7 to 11 billion pounds from schools, hotels, and hospitals. Diners on average leave 17% of their meals uneaten, and 55% of edible leftovers are left at the restaurant. All-you-can-eat buffets are particularly wasteful. Households are responsible for the largest proportion of food waste, an estimated 76 billion pounds per year. Fresh fruits and vegetables account for the bulk of this loss. 80% of Americans prematurely discard food due to confusion over date labels. 5%, only 5% of food is composted, and as a result, uneaten food is the single largest component of municipal waste, where in landfills, it breaks down anaerobically to form methane, a potent greenhouse gas that is up to 86 times more damaging than CO2. And I'll jump to the conclusion. Who on this commission has an appetite to sponsor $50,000 towards instituting a composting program in the city of Miami?
I have an appetite for a composting program in the city of Miami.
You're an angel, Commissioner.
I don't know how much it's going to cost, and I already knew you were coming with this, so I already asked the administration to start working on this. What I want to make sure is that we maintain our composting permit, because we could lose it. We have it. We've maintained it. We could lose it, though. So that if we do choose to implement a program, I'd like to understand what that would cost, what it would entail. Because we passed a fertilizer ordinance, this could also help toward that. There's so many things. So, I am interested. I don't know what it costs, but I've already asked the administration to look into it so we can look at it for the next budget cycle.
We'll be in touch. Thank you again.
Mr. Leitner.
Thank you all. Thank you again, all of you. And again, the eviction moratorium for the residents at Hamilton on the Bay, I hope you will give it further consideration and continue your discussions with our mayor.
Is it true there's less than 5 of you living there now?
There's 5.
5 people?
Definitely the commission's actions have benefited, and I'm sorry, I'm not that nervous, but it's so cold in here. There's too much energy being wasted in here. And I know I always complain about it, but...
We have to offset the hot air coming from up here.
That's right.
Anyhow, the majority of residents definitely benefited from this commission's actions. AIMCO did afford the residents that left willingly a moderate stipend, but the ones that can't afford to move out because of that stipend, I am not in that category, but the ones that can't afford have been notified that they will be evicted.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
It's this mask, I can't.
it's up to you. We can hear you, it's up to you.
Okay. No,
However
this is
you feel
better.
safe.
I couldn't even hear myself. All right. Good evening, commissioners. My name is Jeanette Ruiz, and I'm with the Miami Climate Alliance. I co-signed pretty much what everyone has said so far, including the addition of funding to the Office of Resilience, as well as $5 million in legal and relocation assistance for Miamians. But in terms of resiliency, building upon the idea of creating a city that's prepared for and ready to mitigate the effects of our climate crisis, I think it's important to allocate $854,000 in unfunded costs for resilience hubs, as well as at least $250,000 to support community-based resilience hubs that can work in tandem with the city of Miami. What better strategy to help us move forward together than building up our communities with resources and education? Also, just to co-sign what Zelalem had mentioned earlier about the $40 million in affordable housing through the Miami Forever Bond. We need to make sure that that money goes to the Miamians in most need and at threat of climate gentrification and displacement. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. Albert Gomez, 3566 Vista Court. First of all, CRO and separating that office, giving it its due. Appreciate that. We really got to bolster parks now that they're taking more responsibility, obviously. With regards to what was said about composting, I mentor several people at a zero waste culture. I've got them started to on-ramp onto the CBO network in the county level. That's an opportunity for cost sharing, which speaks to what I spoke about this morning. I think that with the county, together with the city, there's a chance of actually advancing the money that you need. They have an appetite for it, and they wanting to bring a zero waste culture into the CBO network, so we should talk on that more. But more specifically, so I'm here to address general things, our threats and vulnerabilities. The millage rate, 7.99, that's fine, but we're not increasing impact fees. And that's a concern for me. Most of the issues have come in construction sites with the Bay recently. It's been in the news a lot. We don't have enough money to support inspectors. This is a shared cost situation. There are tools in the toolkit that we could deploy if we had money to deploy them. We have to go in for grants for that. We missed a lot of opportunities in this budget cycle to go in for grants on that. And then I see us, and I have a written response, but I'm going off of it because I spoke about a lot of these things earlier. You know, the support of the CRO, the CHO, cost sharing around those efforts. You're all doing the same thing. There's no reason to do it in a silo. I know that the county wants to work. If we can replicate grants of what the county is doing and do some jurisdictional stuff on what we can do here at the city, we would be benefited from it. But more specifically, the Bay. The Bay has been avoided. We didn't really put a lot of money towards it from the city level. I know you have, but in certain ordinance pushing, but we're not doing that removal of vessels is something that I'm strongly about. I think that we should do it. We should put a grant for that. Beyond having the CRO and putting published work for them to do or to tackle certain things, dedicating funds for specific actions and goals, that's what we should look toward in future CRO meetings. Budget meetings. So I didn't see that happen so much this time around. I'd love to see if we can address more actual, like putting four corners around certain activities. I could reference that $88 million on the bottom of the pyramid, which is still opaque to me, and maybe going towards events where it should possibly better be suited going towards actual programming or in-place actions.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Albert. Mr. Hepburn.
Hey, good evening, commissioners. Full disclosure, Michael Hepburn, 645 Northeast 77th Street. As y'all know, I'm running to become the city commissioner for District 5. But I wanted to come here today to put some of our requests or ideas that I would love to see in this budget and for you guys to support. Some is there, some is not. So here we go. All right, the first one is to make sure that we are allocating funding for construction projects that preserve, develop, and rehab affordable housing, as you know, and home ownership opportunities using City of Miami-owned land, so public-owned land. Second, I definitely want y'all to reconsider Nan McKay Associates as the provider for our emergency rental assistance program. And then maybe if they are not improving their performance, look for another vendor, increase the funding for the rental assistance, and then keep it pushing forward so our residents can get the funds that they need to stay into their apartments, right? Allocate funds to relocate the Model City Neighborhood Service Center from the lobby of the police station to a more accessible location like a city-funded mixed-use development apartment building in the district is a request. I would like to mandate or have you guys try to see if you can mandate a percentage of the Miami Police Department budget to be allocated to create a Miami response team made up of licensed clinicians and social workers who will be dispatched to de-escalate and provide services to nonviolent and mental health crisis calls, right? I would love for us to continue to increase funding for the senior rental assistance programs. I would like us to make sure we are pushing forward this funding for illegal dumping, to attack that and create a financial reward and things of that concept. I would love for us to see if we can create a tree trimming fund to assist our residents that are low income, recovering the cost of cutting their trees that's on their side of the property, but it's actually a City of Miami tree because it's on our side of the city, right? And also I want us to have some real conversations in budgeting to increase funding for poor lighting conditions and multiple roadways in District 5 that need some solar panel lights or LEDs or something else to brighten up our streets in our neighborhoods. And in closing, I want us to make sure that we are investing in our youth, so please expand the financial resources for the Summer Jobs Connect program. And then also in closing, right now we do not provide recycling services for City of Miami residents in public housing, in HUD public housing. So technically right now, the city is pretty much saying if you live in HUD public housing, it's not important for you to recycle. Miami-Dade County defers it to us, we defer it to them, no one's doing anything.
Thank you.
So budgeting-wise, please look into adding some funds so we can start recycling programs and public housing units in our city.
Thank you.
Thank you so
comments.
much.
Just as a clarification of the administration, I thought all towers and multifamily housing requires recycling, regardless of who funds it or whether it's subsidized.
Yeah, we'll check with solid waste and we'll give the gentleman an answer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Clarkson, how you doing?
All right. How you doing today, sir? My name is Michael Clarkson. I live at 122 Northeast 78th Street in the heart of TIT. First, I want to commend you guys, not just for this budget, for sitting down and meeting with us. Two of our organizations, Conscious Contractors and Tapari Preparedness and Relief, we belong to the MCA, and we appreciate the time, especially you, Ms. Reyes, and your input. We need that, I was there for you also, Mr. Russell, we appreciate that, and for you also, who is our leader right now, Mr. Watson, for giving us the time to air some things. I appreciate the budget. One thing I would like to talk about is the resilience hubs, because that's close to my heart. We've been doing that since Irma. And the funding we get for it, we get very little for it. We have to scrape for it. Most of it comes from our professional business conscious contractors. But I would like to see that this Office of Resiliency stays this time, because I remember we had an Office of Sustainability and Resiliency that got chopped up, about a year and a half ago. So I hope this is something that's long going. One thing I do think is missing is a real fight for green energy. We really need to fight for greener energy. And in terms of how do we make that happen within the city government? How do we transform our city vehicles? How do we get you guys in better vehicles? Whoever's gonna be the commissioners. We gotta go elected, and we gotta go elected real quick, because we have already know that Miami's been counted as ground zero when it comes to sea level rise. So I appreciate what the job that you did with the budget and working with the various organizations that signed on. And I hope this community engagement that you allowed, I hope it becomes more and more as the year goes on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Stephanie Thomas. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate the time that you're putting into putting the budget together. I also have a disclosure. I'm also a candidate for District 5. I want to thank you for having the additional staff in the Office of Resiliency. To bring this together, I I have a concern about flood zones in our area, right? I don't know if the city is involved with that, but I know the county is. So if we can have more information on data on how the flood zones are being mitigated, and also the septic tanks. I also have a concern with a rental assistance. You know, how are we moving forward as a city, helping individuals to find homes and apartment units with the moratorium that's currently on. In addition to this, there's a traffic study that I would love to have in District 5, specifically 54th Street and Biscayne Boulevard. I used to travel to my home from work. It took me 10 minutes. Now it's taking me almost 30 minutes to get home from where I work. In addition to that, with resiliency, we have food deserts that is right now in District 5. How are we helping individuals choose healthy options by increasing transportation in our district? That's another thing I would like us to look into, food deserts, and how we can help individuals find food in those areas. And with the American Rescue Plan, I would like what we have now for the fundings to be allocated equitably across the board, especially in District 5. And we are in despair in our community as far as healthcare. With that being said, I enjoy being here, and then I look forward to working with each and every one of you as a resident of District 5. And another thing, the illegal dumping in our area, we really need to work on as well. Thank you for your time.
Comments. Is there anyone else here who would like to speak on any of the items of tonight's budget hearing? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. Thank you all very much for coming tonight. So we have before us BH3, BH4, BH5, BH6, and BH7. You're moving all of them? All of them. All right. Somebody's hungry.
I want to.
There's a motion on 3 through 7. Is there a second?
Yeah, seconded with discussion on, been trying to at least beef up our communications.
Could you pull the microphone just a little closer?
Beef up our communications department so that we can make sure we can inform our residents better. A lot of them are getting information through different sources. And as a result of that, at least add to the communications department's budget, maybe $250,000. No, that's fine. That's fine. No, I was just saying, a lot of our residents are getting information through different sources, and as a result of that, wanted to try to add about $250,000 communications department budget that doesn't exist now for social media and other different outlets that are now, I know, are not being informed as much as others. So I don't know where that comes under.
So you're seeking an amendment on the budget of $250,000 for
Yes.
communications?
Yes.
Mr. Budget Director?
Mr. Manager. Oh, Mr. Casamayor.
Sorry, sir, how much was the request?
Yeah, we're adding $250,000 to communications department. Move it around, juggle.
Give us a little time to try to figure out
Okay.
how.
Where it would come from.
And where it would come from.
Well, as long as it don't come from planning department, we're in good shape.
Unless you're willing to give us an opportunity to do this and come back either at, this is an ongoing operation cost, I'm assuming. Could also come back at the mid-year.
Okay.
And see, fund it and give you a real strategy for
All
the
right.
program.
That's fine. That's fair.
All right.
Just find sometimes there's a direct correlation in some communities with respect to communicating them things we're trying to get done. So that's the purpose of it.
Thank you. Did you get the information on our vehicle fleet and the electrification thereof?
Someone from GSA will be out shortly.
Thank you. Just the idea, question is how many vehicles we have, how many of them are electric now or hybrid, and what's our plan to convert?
Give me a moment, sir.
Mr. Chair, what happened BH1, 2?
1 and 2 were discussion items that Ms. Crespi and the department already spoke on, so 1 and 2 are done.
Oh, they're done, right?
Yes, 1 and 2 are done.
Good evening, Commissioner. Jennifer Ramirez, Director of GSA. Currently, the city has 231 hybrid fleet vehicles as part of our fleet. The general fleet is 730 vehicles. So we've started that process of moving into greener technologies. We don't have full electric vehicles. I think the biggest impediment to that is that we don't have an infrastructure to support that yet. So we should build the infrastructure and then move forward.
All right, I'd love to talk with you later about a plan to get there.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
The state has a program if we want to build infrastructure, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, are there any other amendments to the change memo that's being brought in? No.
No question.
All right, could I have BH6 read into the record, please?
An ordinance of the Miami City Commission related to taxing, defining and designated the territorial limits of the city of Miami, levying an ad valorem tax on all real and personal property in the city at a total final rate of 7.9900 mils on the dollar of taxable value of such property for the purposes of funding the general operating budget and payment of debt service for fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2021 and ending September 30, 2022, containing a severability clause and providing for an effective date.
Thank you very much. We have a motion, we have a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. We
And
have a
again,
budget.
Chair, just for the record, that's for BH7 is as amended to incorporate the changes listed in the city manager's change memo dated September 22nd, 2021. Just want to put that on the
Yes,
record.
as amended. Thank you very much, everyone. Congratulations.
And I want to add, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. You have conducted a wonderful meeting.
Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, you are becoming an expert.
You're not so bad.
Thank you very much, and thank you all of you for participating.
We are adjourned, everyone. Have a good night.